Hello everyone. It's a bad day today, really bad. Lots of critical supports have been broken. Bitcoin has dropped to a low of $77,117 just today within a matter of hours. So what happened? We're going to talk all about it. First of all, okay, death cross. Sure, that's there. Moving averages are pointed downward. It's no surprise we are in a downtrend. I'm not late. I'm 1 minute late. It's fine. This uptrend, broken, gone. Sure. This one was the one that really pained me the most. The uptrend that correlated from long term and also the 80,000 coinciding mark, right? This zone right over here, this one was really painful to see happen, but it happened, and because that it happened, a lot of other altcoins suffered along with it. We have new lows for Ethereum, new lows for Solana. XRP is kind of fine. It's seen better days, but fine nonetheless. Sui is also kind of fine. Yeah, so much winning. We're all gonna get tired of winning. It's too much winning, Mr. President. We can't handle it anymore. But it's whatever. Is it over? It's not over. Like, everything is still in play here, as long as we maintain this support. If this one breaks, no, you know what? We can take down. We can take one more hit. We can take one more hit. It's this line right over here, 73,843. Why? Because that is the highest level of 2024 all-time high. Of course, we did break it in December, November, December, right? When Bitcoin skyrocketed. But this was the highest point from then that would need to be taken care of. Okay. What can I give in terms of potential good news? Just based off of price action and charts is a CME gap. Let me pull this up. This just came into my mind right now. We are in a weekend right now. If I go to Bitcoin CME futures, look at that. It's already opened, I think. This gap must be filled, right? So it's not over yet. I don't know how fast we're going to refill this gap, but it's a possibility that it would happen. Bitcoin dominance, very, very high levels, not all-time high. We reached a higher level of Bitcoin dominance on February 3rd. I mean, it doesn't mean that the crash was as bad as February 3rd, but we're getting there, and Monday could be the difference between that. This is still on the rise. We're only like 1% off from reaching that point again of 64% Bitcoin dominance. What this means is altcoins selling off and more people just holding Bitcoin. The OG hodlers are still on Bitcoin, right? Alt season is not happening yet, right? It's delayed, pushed further down the line. We don't got to worry about alt season right now. Focus on saving your bags. Me personally, I am safe for now. I can take one more drop. A second drop I cannot take. It's going to be over. In order for me to survive such a drop, we got to stay above this line. What do I have this line for? This is interesting. This line wasn't it broken? Am I blind? Am I crazy? August 5. Okay, wait a minute. I might be missing one of these lines over here on my other charts. Are you serious? I am. Okay, so wait, this line is not fully broken then. Where's the second line? I drew it over here. No wonder. Okay. We're safe. For now. New zone you should be paying attention to. Let me look back over here. This one looked a little neater. Seems like we're right over here, right? 77,000. That's from a previous CME gap, right? This zone right over here. Why are you doing that? Let me just draw freely, please. This area right over here is from a CME gap that was filled before, and this is probably, what, the third time that we're in this area once again. You get what I'm talking about, right? So we're down here again, Potential bounce from here, hopefully. Now, we haven't broken our previous low, which I would consider an important support at 76,500, but we did get scarily close, right? Which would be this low from right over here. That's the current support that we'll be paying attention to. Worst comes to worst, it's all technically down to this zone, all the way down to 73,843. But ideally, we stick above. We also have a support one. This is a new support for pivot point. Okay, so it might be relevant. 75,000. We'll keep an eye on that level as well. Man, I don't want to continue seeing any drops, but it might just happen. I don't know. 80,000, we don't got to worry about anymore. Its support has been broken. We're now got to worry about pushing ourselves all the way back above 80,000 once again. So that's the plan for now. Super trend flipped back bearish, thanks to the fact that we broke the 80,000 zone, which I was hoping would not happen, but it did happen. So it does indeed seem like we're going to stay within this area for a while longer. Where does this end? Look at that. Beginning of May. So this is the current uptrend that absolutely matters as of right now. Why? Because it goes as far back as September 6 and August 5. Actual recession fears when people were actually panicking. So that's the important levels we should be paying attention to. Right? That's the line that cannot be broken. Must not be broken. Otherwise, bull run is cancelled. You heard that. Right. Okay. Who knows? We could see a recovery overnight. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't think we will. We're probably just going to stay around this zone. Breaking 80,000 is going to be very difficult now due to the fact that, you know, all that buying pressure, it's gone now. A lot of money has been liquidated. Matter of fact, I could check on CoinGlass how much liquidations we're seeing. Liquidation history. Get out of here. I didn't even click that. I'm clicking X. Okay. Does it tell us how much has been wrecked? 24 hours wrecked. Volume. Funding rates. Bitcoin dominance, we already know. Is this what it is right now? Nope, this is not what I'm looking for. Bitcoin. Here we are. I guess I'm just have to put my cursor like right at there. In exchanges in total, 3.65 million long liquidations? I disagree with that. Oh, that's within. What is the time frame of this? Is it a day? 245 million liquidated plus 3 million. What is this? 4th of April? 5th of April had more. I don't know if I agree with that chart, honestly. Surely it's got to be more. Or maybe it was just that much. And this is only in Bitcoin only. So, okay, that makes sense. It's not in the full crypto market. Altcoins saw a larger drop compared to Bitcoin. Like if we're looking at coin market cap, top drops, well, Bitcoin's only dropped 5-6%, right? We look at the other altcoins, it's about like 15% for almost every altcoin. Top losers, 20% almost, 17, 16, 15%. You, in the middle of the important ones, you got like Hyperliquid 15%, Litecoin 15%, down Hedera 13%, Sui 13%. What else you got that's important? Chainlink 13%, Solana 12%, Ethereum 12%. That's painful to see something that doesn't move as much, something like Ethereum dropping 12%. It's happening way too frequently now. Ethereum just it's dropping more than what it gains, and that's why we just seen this staircase of Ethereum just dropping lower and lower, guys. We reached a new low today for Ethereum. It's getting painful. Currently the price is 1,584. Yep, we dropped to 1,537. I'm still safe, thankfully, but we've broken through a lot of supports. Like I mentioned this uptrend was important to keep, and it didn't keep that. It just broke all the way down. So now we don't have any uptrend for Ethereum. Maybe we do. I mean, I could try to find one. I'll really, really doubt it. I mean, I guess you could kind of say, no, not really, right? I wouldn't even consider this an uptrend anymore. We're breaking, we already broke what the downtrend was. Is it gonna, hold on. I want to get the uptrend back. I want to see if I could find it. Okay, this is Ethereum again. Where did I have my uptrend drawn? I had something like this, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was indeed something like this, right? I probably used one of these lines. So that's broken by now, right? So what can we expect from now for Ethereum? Not much, right? Just, we would have to look for support levels, I guess. That would be the main thing. We could probably see one from this low, 1,466. I guess I could use that line. Other than that, what other important supports we got? We got a bounce over here. That could be important. And overall, I don't even know if I should draw a Fibonacci from here. Okay, this Fibonacci is just completely useless. I'll delete it. We're not seeing a bounce on Ethereum. We're on one of the second last Fibonacci zones right now, so that could be quite relevant if we're able to maintain that. Keeping a line from something as far back as June 2022. That's how much we dropped over here. We could probably use one more support line that I could draw out right over here. 1,074? Yeah, no. I don't want to see that happen, ever. But it could. Who knows? We'll see. Ethereum is just bleeding out right now. Thanks to that, so are the altcoins. As I mentioned, Solana at 106 current price, down like 12%, something crazy like that. This is a lower than practically all of 2024. Right? In 2024, though, Solana was lower than this at one point, early January, but I don't think you could count this, right? The real initial bull run happened like in March, right? March right over here. That's when everything rose in price, initially in 2024, right? That was thanks to Bitcoin ETFs getting approved. From there, we've been decaying, slight pump, decay, slight pump, decay, recession fear, right? September 6th as well, recession fear. Or it was mainly like the rate cuts, possibly recession, you get the point. But from there, you know, November 4, Trump victory, we pumped to new all-time high for Solana. But all of that has been erased already, and we're lower than where we started when Bitcoin got their ETF announcement back in February, March kind of zone. So this is a very crucial point for Solana. Only point I could really see Solana slowing down at is, like, I wouldn't even go as far back as 2024 anymore. Just pay attention to psychological level at $100. Please let me edit this. Thank you. And I'll put 100 over here. After that, we got a support from the pivot at 97. We're currently at one of the important zones at 106. We dropped to a low of 103 for Solana, for the record. Can the drops continue? As I mentioned, yes, I do think they will continue. This uptrend is gone. There's no uptrend for Solana either. And you're probably going to notice that for a lot of other coins. What just happened? Oh my gosh. My thing is glitching way too much. Okay, yeah, that uptrend, gone for now. I had this support drawn over here. What is this one? This is a low point at 109. This is the lowest point of 2024 from recession fear, right? And we broke right through that as if it was nothing. So, yeah, do with that what you want. Deleting this Fibonacci as well. It's useless. We haven't bottomed yet. It's not confirmed. So, I wouldn't draw any other Fibonacci levels, none of that, until we confirm a bottom, which we'll have to wait until after Monday happens, because a lot of people are expecting what I talked about yesterday, Black Monday. So we'll see what happens there. XRP $1.92, 10% down. I mentioned is not as bad as a drop, considering, like, well, I don't know. I looked at it a couple hours ago, like over here. I was like, oh, we're just as low as we were right over here in April 3rd. That's not too bad. But yeah, no, we broke through that support and currently a little bit lower. $1.90 was the lowest point from February, no, from March, sorry, March 10. Hey, but look at this. February 2nd, we did drop to a low of 177 for XRP. So keep an eye out for that level at least, right? Matter of fact, I will. I also got these supports that I don't even know. When it comes to fundamental analysis, technical analysis, you could just forget about it, right? You could still, like, you know, draw all these lines, do whatever you want, draw all these uptrends that are getting broken and everything. Downtrends for sure, but when there's fundamentals involved, they will always be technical analysis. Just a rule of trading, right? So it's something you got to get used to by now. So yeah, not much else can be done for here. I'm looking at 195 as a potential important resistance that we might encounter later. 195. Currently on our way back up there right now. So it coincides with the support zone right over there. I'd be looking out for that level. We probably will have difficulty bouncing forward. Not bouncing forward. Breaking out forward, right? Or it'll likely just bounce back down is what I'm going to suppose overnight. There's a lot of fear in the markets right now. SUI, $1.94. Not too bad of a drop either, I would say. We reached a low of 187, so that was a new low. But the lowest point that we saw before then was 196. Yeah, it was all going to happen, right? We break the uptrend. The breakout is significant, and we head toward the downside. So, yeah, slowing down right over here. Deleting this, no longer needed. Downtrend still persists for SUI. Cardano is at 58 cents. Not too crazy of a drop either, I would say. Lowest point we dropped for Cardano, February 2nd, was 50 cents, right? So drops can continue. Pay attention to 50 cents. I'm safe there as well on my main account with Cardano. Might stay in this range, I'm not sure. Might drop to a low of 55 cents overnight. Potentially. Oh, Litecoin is dropping significantly. We reached a low of 68. Ah, that's ugly. I was hoping we wouldn't see under 80 anymore, but we broke down the support as well. Yeah, 80 was an important support. That was the lowest point we saw in February. February 2nd. Yeah, well, there you go. It's officially erased its Trump pump gains. So Litecoin is back at square one over here. Alright, so that's the state of the market. Total panic, total fear. Should you be in fear? No. Take this as a buying opportunity. I did DCA as much as I could and also reinforced my positions as much as I could. I think I'm safe for now. I've put at some liquidation prices pretty far away. And I think a significant drop has already happened. There's only a couple of things that could save the market at this point. This has been also kind of foreseen, right? We were able to sort of foresee. There were signals that this could have happened, right? There was signals. There was absolutely signals, and I talked about them. So let's start getting into it. First of all, the index futures are open. S&P 500, Dow Jones, NASDAQ futures, they've opened with a gap to the downside, to a drop, right? They're down 3%, 4%, 5% respectively for Dow Jones, S&P 500, and NASDAQ. Over 2+ years of gains have officially been wiped out. This is also just adding on to the fact that, not yet, when would it be? Thursday and Friday, after Liberation Day, right? We saw large percentage drops as well. What's important is what's going to happen by the end of tomorrow, Monday. People are expecting this whole big Black Monday deal that's going to happen. It's, you know, this is what I'm talking about in terms of, we kind of had, there were signals. We saw this coming, possibly, with the M2 money supply thing that I always talk about. The mini rally that fails has played out perfectly, as we mentioned, right? Bitcoin, we saw the price of it pump up, but it didn't have enough power to continue rising. Just look at how perfect it just matches, right? It's just so perfect. It's coincidental, of course. Like M2 money supply has Nothing to do with Bitcoin. Well, it does have something to do with the amount of money that exists in the world, right? We're also seeing a little slowdown for the upcoming projections, but we know that bull market does not end by July. It will continue. May is when it will blast off. Currently, we are yet to experience just probably one more day worth of a drop, which it just coincides with Monday. It's just, yeah, we saw this coming. I've been showing the same chart, like nothing has changed. M2 money offset by 108 days correlated to the price of Bitcoin, almost perfect correlation. It's been there, right? I think I've been talking about this over a week by now. There were signals. So if we pay attention to it though, okay, sure, we're gonna have a drop. How significant? I don't know. Maybe Bitcoin trails off a little bit because you see, like, Bitcoin didn't rise as much as this says. It also didn't rise as much as this said right over here, right? But it also sometimes doesn't drop as much as M2 money supply has. So who knows? Maybe this time it could drop more. It's not perfectly correlated, but gives you a general idea of where it is headed. Or, I don't know, maybe things slowly recover. Maybe it's all just a big lie, this whole Black Monday thing. History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. Maybe it's, the 1983, what happened in 1983 will stay in 1983, and 2025 will be a different story. We're hoping, right? Nobody wants to see another drop. It'll suck. Or maybe some people do. I don't know. If you're shorting the market, congratulations. You've timed it perfectly. It's similar. It's 1987. Sorry, not 1983. Whatever. Same thing. Back then, stock market crashed over 20% in a single day for Monday back in 1987 after, the two previous days that the stock market was open were negative days, right? You'll see three consecutive negative days, right? Similar to what we saw right now with the S&P 500. 1, 2, 3 negative days, and maybe we just see another 20% candlestick drop from there. But that presents a good buying opportunity. Look at it in the good way, right? Should we be worried about tomorrow? Well, we shall see. So far, S&P 500 futures today fell more than 3%. They opened up a little bit earlier. If this holds, and we can see this is the worst 3-day period in the stock market since 1987. You saw in the previous chart that the bars are a little bit larger, right? History never repeats itself, but it does rhyme. Here's a story of what happened on Black Monday 1987. On October 19, Dow Jones suffered a 22% drop. Ripple effects staggering. London's FTSE 100 also fell 11%. Australia, 40% drop. Hong Kong Hang Seng Index lost nearly half of its value in just a week. By the time the dust settled, over $1.71 trillion back in 1987 money was wiped out. The cause of Black Monday were complex. For years leading up to the crash, markets have been riding high on a bull run that began in 1982. So it was just a long time for a bull market that it's been continuing, and it just has to crash at some point eventually, right? But that wasn't a real trigger. Something set it off. One major culprit was portfolio insurance, strategy designed to protect investors by automatically selling futures as prices fell. Instead of preventing losses, it created a vicious cycle. Falling prices triggered more selling, which caused prices to drop even further. But that wasn't the only accelerant. Program trading as well was there. Timing was another factor. Federal Reserve stepped in quickly to stabilize markets. This is important. Slashing interest rates and injecting liquidity in the economy to restore confidence. Of course, they want you to stay confident in the stock market. They don't want to see you, well, I don't know what they really want, but nobody wants to see everybody's portfolios drop massively because there's important people that are investing, right? Some of the richest people in the world are investors. So the Federal Reserve, that's their job, is to balance the economy, to avoid recessions, all that kind of stuff. They inject liquidity by lowering interest rates and also in giving, I don't know, stimulus payments and all that stuff. Fast forward to April 2025, we're getting that same kind of deal right now with, in 2023, 2024, we saw a pretty good rally, right? where stock prices have been hitting all-time highs almost every day, you can say, sure, that's overvalued, and it was. It deserves to have a drop, and that's what we're currently experiencing right now. Market sentiment is fragile, and some are already calling tomorrow will look like Black Monday, but for 2025. Parallels to 1987 are striking. There's economic uncertainty combined with structural vulnerabilities, which has investors on edge. This is something that was mainly, it got popularized, this whole Black Monday coming in 2025. This whole idea got popularized by none other than Jim Cramer, and I covered this yesterday. But we know what Jim Cramer's reputation is the opposite, right? Everything that this guy says, the opposite happens. Inverse Cramer, right? Inverse Cramer is potentially real. We'll confirm it one more time again tomorrow. Last time he was Inverse Cramer worked was when he called the top on Bitcoin. He said, oh, Bitcoin's $100,000. Now's a great time to buy Bitcoin, everyone. I think he announced that like over here or something. And yeah, we're hitting new lows. So yeah, you get the point. He warns of a 1987 Black Monday style stock market crash on Monday, so we all know what happens next. And on top of that, he's actually doubling down on this, by the way. Today, he just came out and said that he is expecting the stock market to go down another 20% after the drops that we're currently seeing with the index futures that have just come out. Like, they're already dropping 3, 4, 5% as I showed you, right? The S&P 500, NASDAQ, and Dow Jones. And he's expecting it to go down another 20% from current levels. We're hoping that Inverse Cramer works, and that doesn't happen, right? Because I don't know if I could swallow a whole 20% drop. Jim Cramer saves the stock market by predicting Black Monday 2025. Even Ryan Cohen thinks that. CEO of GameStop, by the way. And this is also like, this is a perfect opportunity for him. He did mention, if you forgot about this news, GameStop will be buying Bitcoin. They'll add it to their reserve for their stock, right? And this guy has $6 billion in cash. He even raised another $1 billion in cash. I don't know why. And maybe this is what happens tomorrow. Right? That would be pretty funny if they just buy a lot of Bitcoin tomorrow. Cool. We'll see what happens, Ryan. It's not just US stocks that are falling, it's also Japan. Japan suspended their Nikkei 225 stock futures trading due to circuit breaker. Circuit breaker is... I forgot exactly what it means. It's something like if you lose too much money, they'll just stop everybody from trading. They'll close down the market. Nobody's allowed to trade until we fix this. What Grok says... it's a mechanism that pauses trading when prices drop too sharply, which signals that there's intense market volatility. There you go. So if you're in Japan, you're not allowed to trade because everything is dropping, right? It's a bit of a, I don't know, way of panicking, in my opinion. There's also just fears and panic of, oh my gosh, we're getting a recession. On Polymarket, people are predicting a 65% chance of a recession in 2025. In spite of all this, this is probably what Trump wants. Maybe. JP Morgan Asset Management's Bob Michel says the Federal Reserve may have to cut interest rates before the next meeting in May. That is huge. Emergency rate cuts could be coming now. And even that has been surging in Polymarket. A new poll has come out. And people are expecting a 26% chance of emergency rate cuts to be happening before our meeting in May. To keep it, give you a bit of perspective here. The next Fed meeting is in 30 days, with currently a 36% chance of us getting a rate cut by then. But people are thinking like, okay, something has to happen. Jerome Powell might even have to have an emergency meeting to cut the interest rates early because stock prices are crashing. Maybe he does that. I don't know. What would this be? May 6th? May 6th? That coincides with... I deleted it by now, but it coincides with the beginning of May, the blast off, right? That I show with the M2 money chart. Maybe that's what causes the pump in May. A rate cut, that would be good. That would be really good. Cool. We shall see. So yeah, I don't know also if you could trust Polymarket anymore, because by the way, this is what they think about the next Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, all-time high potential lead from the Liberal Party compared to Pierre Poilievre, all-time low 27%. I don't know about that one. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about Canada yet or anymore. That's all I had to talk about Canada, really. So I don't think Jerome Powell does want to cut interest rates anyway. He kind of wants, like, this is what people are thinking, right? Jerome Powell wants to crash the economy on Trump's watch. And he will say anything to justify doing so. Like, for example, he did say that, oh, tariffs will likely raise inflation in the coming quarters. He did say that in the last meeting that we had in on Friday, right? When we had that non-farm payroll data and the unemployment numbers, said, yeah, economy's all right. And the tariff situation, you know, I'm going to stay away from politics, but they could raise inflation, right? So we're going to have to monitor it closely. That's kind of the response that he gave. But Trump is calling him out for, you know, playing politics and stuff like that. I'll get into that right here. So I should have posted as well by Will Financial yesterday on how tariffs could have zero long-term impact on the stock market because of the fact that the TLDR of this is that rate cuts are absolutely the only way necessary to turn on that money printer. Stimulus, rate cuts, that's the only way for the US to pay off their debt, right? And tariffs will help with that. So now he's saying that he's going to flip the script and talk about how tariffs could wreck the stock market for years. So kind of the inverse, right? I don't know why he's doing this, but sure. This is what he says. Trump is using tariffs for several reasons. We already know that it's to bring back American jobs, gain leverage in trade negotiations, as a long-term and potential substitute for income tax, and as a tool to force the Fed to cut rates, which is what's the main thing going on right now. So let's start with how the tariffs are pressuring the Fed. In Trump's own words, he told Jerome Powell that he's playing politics, right? I shared this before. Trump wants to cut rates, but Powell doesn't think the economy is ready. Or perhaps Powell is simply being stubborn because he dislikes Trump. That could also be the case. What if Jerome Powell just low-key hates Trump and he's doing this on purpose? Like, oh, look at Trump's economy, guys. You tired of winning, guys? So much winning? Mr. President, it's too much winning, right? And there's the two posts that I shared. Unfortunately, Trump can't just wait until Powell's term is over, because Powell's term ends in May 2026. Even after his term, Powell can stay on the Fed Board of Governors until 2028. He'll still have strong voting power regarding interest rates in this position. And also, Trump can't fire him. The Federal Reserve is a private institution. This is also something that was asked when Trump got elected initially. They asked Jerome Powell, like, are you scared that Trump is going to fire you? And he's like, no, Trump can't fire me. Like, that's it. Anyway. Not suggesting Powell will pause rates until 2028. Yeah, because that'll be destructive, right? We're already seeing a potential of, they predicted 2 rate cuts, the Fed, but we're seeing on like the CME a potential of, we saw up to like 5 rate cuts this year that could be happening. But for now, I think it's just like 4. Who knows? Maybe it will be 5. I don't know. I think 5 is like exaggeratingly too much. How many do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 so far for this year, right? I'm looking at December 2025. So, I mean, yeah, that could absolutely be the case. We'll see. Either way, this is a problem for the markets. Or maybe he just genuinely believes the rates should not be cut. If he does cut the interest rates, or if he pauses them, sorry, for the next 12 months, that would just be a catastrophe, right? That would mean our $9.2 trillion debt, which we owe this year, would be rolled over at higher rates. Those rates need to drop because we cannot pay high interest on a massive debt. It's just going to keep on increasing, right? If you had like a credit card debt, you would rather have those interest rates decreased so to help you pay it off, right? It just works like that. That means, okay, this would skyrocket our $1.2 trillion in yearly interest as well. And $9.2 trillion getting refinanced at current rates is extremely bearish. It's just going to take much longer to pay it off. So that's one possible, albeit slim, angle of how this could play out. Now let's take a look at how tariffs affect certain companies, especially the Max 7. I don't know if you really care about this, but this is how it affects it. I don't really talk too much about stocks, so that's all I'm going to go to. The only thing that mainly interested me was the tariffs. Pause the video if you want to read all that. All right. So, what's going to happen? Trump has been silent this weekend, although he did respond, and I'll get to that. He did just respond, like very recently. 36 hours, no response from Trump. No mention of any potential tariff deals, phone calls, or delays in tariffs. The reciprocal tariffs will go live at 12 a.m. tonight, which, because that was also a big part of what happened on Liberation Day. He said all these tariffs, with a big chart of tariffs that he showed, all of that is going to go live April 7. So that also just coincides with Monday, right? And it just goes back to coinciding with that M2 money chart that I'm always showing you guys. You know what? I'm going to pull it up because it's just so good. I love the M2 money chart. Chinese stock market is also opening with a 10% drop. There you go, guys. Everybody is selling off, it seems like. It's not going to be a good day tomorrow. All right. So here it is, right? Is this a recent post? No, it isn't. It's likely we're going to continue to see a drop, right? Even for Bitcoin. It's still likely to continue. So don't discard that. Now, the stock market futures already opened, so he doesn't have less than 12 hours to do something. Although, yeah, he did do something. He did speak, and I'll get to that. He did mention before, though, that he's not watching the stock markets, as he began announcing on March 6th, so the market does need some hope. He did announce, though, that on Friday, Vietnam was hoping to eliminate tariffs to avoid reciprocal tariffs. I think that is official news by now. Stock market crash was not part of the plan, is what White House officials say, and this is the important one. Taiwan actually did it. They offered zero tariffs and pledges to increase its investments in the U.S. to avoid President Trump's tariffs. It just goes to show, I do think these tariffs will work and are working. It just takes time, right? Now, Taiwan specifically, for whatever reason, they had like a 90% tariff, if I remember correctly. You can see Black Monday is literally trending, #1. Anyway, and yeah, it makes sense for Taiwan to do this, offering zero tariffs on the United States because, I mean, they can't afford it, right? And they should stay on the good side of the United States, right? Otherwise, the US will do what they did to Ukraine, cut off all funding and defense spending, right? Ukraine went on Trump's bad side, it seems like, and for not trying to negotiate the peace deal accordingly. So, yeah, you have that. And what is Taiwan? Then, like, Taiwan is afraid that China will invade it, right? This is that whole situation. The only actual reliable country that can help defend Taiwan is the United States, which is why they would rather keep the United States' interest in Taiwan so that they could keep, you know, their country, right, from being invaded by China, right? That's also part of the reason why, you know, their semiconductor business is there. It's like, okay, why should we protect Taiwan? Oh, because they supply the United States with semiconductors. Oh, okay, that makes more sense. So that, oh shoot, I just closed my book. Sorry. Yeah, so that's why, you know, there's interest for Taiwan to stay on Trump's good side, right? Also even offering to invest in the United States. So yeah, we do need hope for the markets. We'll see what Trump says. Trump said that someday people will realize that tariffs for the United States of America are a very beautiful thing. He said this in a Truth Social post. We have a massive financial deficits with China, European Union, and many other countries. The only way this problem can be cured is with tariffs, which are now bringing tens of billions of dollars in the United States. They're already in effect, and a beautiful thing to behold, he says. The surplus with these countries has grown during the presidency, quote unquote, of Sleepy Joe Biden. We're going to reverse it and reverse it quickly. Someday people will realize that tariffs for the United States are a very beautiful thing, he says. So, further confirming the idea, This is a long-term play. It will take time. Ignore the short-term volatility. He also had a little press conference. This literally just came out like an hour ago, I think. He says that, confirming that point, where he's doubling down on it. We have to solve the trade deficit. Until then, I'm not going to make any deals. And that's also part of his master plan, I think, right? Is just staying silent. Like he announces these tariffs and then goes silent so that the countries will contact him to negotiate, right? Because if he later on goes on and says, oh, actually, you know what, I'm not going to do this or that, then the countries didn't even have to negotiate anything. But Trump announces the reciprocal tariffs. They're going to go live. And, the countries can't live with those tariffs. Some of them, right? So then they will call Trump to negotiate something, right? That's ultimately how Trump wants to use those tariffs. Leverage for trading. Not that kind of leverage and not that kind of trading, but I think you get the point. Scott Bessent, this is just some little White House drama, is reportedly considering stepping down as the U.S. Treasury Secretary due to disagreements over tariffs and trade policy with President Trump. I don't know. I don't know if that's actually legit. But yeah, like, there's a lot of hate going towards people like Scott Bessent and Howard Lutnick over all that trade stuff. They're, advising Trump on this whole trade situation, the tariffs. Most seem to think that these tariffs are misguided and destructive. So how did Bessent sign off on it? He's no fool and a consummate market operator. Keep in mind, Scott Bessent, Howard Lutnick, these guys are smart. They're professional in their careers, especially with, Wall Street and everything like that. So they should know what they're doing. That's why I wouldn't doubt them quite yet. There's a lot of people who are already like saying, oh, they should resign. They're doing a bad job. Look at how the stock market's crashing. But look at the big picture, as what I would say, right? Sure, this sucks to go through, but it's going to get better. I know that for sure. I trust in those people. One theory is that mayhem is a way of... Okay. One theory is that this mayhem is a way of him speedrunning his goal of bringing down the 10-year yield, which is something that I explained, right? Lowering the yields would allow the Treasury to refinance and sell bonds at lower rates. Ultimately, that's what they need in order to help pay off the U.S. debt. Then, once the refinancing has happened, the tariffs are rolled back and stocks recover to more reasonable valuations. Bessent has also talked about this in numerous interviews over the past month. Admittedly, there are better ways to bring down rates that don't involve rising market pandemonium, but those take more time that Bessent may think we don't have. As it relates to Trump's broader and longer-term goals of reshoring manufacturing, this has been laid out in detail in a paper written last year by his Chair of Economic Advisors. Well worth a read. Now, these are all theories. Whether they are right in their goal and whether the execution is haphazard is an entirely other debate. Indeed, perhaps we are just reading too much into it, and Trump is calling all of the shots while his advisors are scrambling. Unfair trade deals is a belief he has held for decades. That's true. If you go back and review his tapes, like I said, he's always talked about tariffs and things like that. Even before he was considering running for president, all that stuff. The trade deals is a belief he has held for decades, and he may now have his shot of reshaping the world order with elementary math. So, I hope it's all going good. Now, I know I mentioned a lot of bad news, so I'll lighten the day up with some good news. Or the night up. It's nighttime. Multiple countries increasing their ownership in Bitcoin lately. Of course, we know that the USA has the most. China second place. UK has got a lot as well. Ukraine, for whatever reason, maybe from donations or whatever. Bhutan has actually got a lot. El Salvador, we know. United Arab Emirates as well, we know, are very bullish on Bitcoin, both these countries. Finland and Georgia. Wow, interesting. El Salvador has been always, DCAing 1 Bitcoin per day kind of deal. And they continue to buy the dip even today. It's just the power of DCA, and their portfolio just goes up every time. And also, Bitcoin exchange balance has reached new lows as well. What does this mean is that there's less Bitcoin in the exchanges to offer to people. Admittedly, there is like overall 2.4 million Bitcoins still that the exchanges can sell off to people. But that number just keeps on dropping every time, which is supposed to be a good thing, right? Supply shock. There will be less supply for a larger demand, especially once all of this blows over, right? There you go. So that's the state of the market. We're just seeing a little sell-off due to that. Bitcoin is slightly recovered from its low, 77,000 to 78,000. Not too bad. Everything else is, yeah, over 10% drop. It's a good chance to buy the dip, and that's all I can really say about this. We'll see what Monday brings. If we'll have a... what do we call it? Didn't I delete this? Okay. Whether we'll have a Black Monday or not, let's just hope Inverse Kramer does its thing. No, but realistically, like, it's all pointing toward the negative side. But who knows at this point? With one Truth Social post, Trump could absolutely turn the markets around. Right? Or people that respond to these tariffs, you know, similar deal. Easy way to turn the markets around. We're already seeing indices dropping as well. I did mention this before as well, like, during the weekend, of course, cryptocurrency that is open 24 hours a day will be the first to receive the impact. Next up will be the indices that opened a little bit earlier. And then, you know, China markets already opened. The European government will open... European markets, sorry, will open like 2, 3 a.m. And then we're having our US open at 9 a.m., 9:30. So we'll see. And I'll keep you guys covered on all that tomorrow. I'm hoping it's like a V-shaped recovery. Where are we? Where's my marker? I think I drew it with a circle. Yeah, there we go. We could see recovery, like I said, but probably not above 80,000. I wouldn't expect that. A drop, hopefully no lower than 75,000. And then V-shaped recovery. I don't know. Because you'll notice as well, I closed it by now, but in the month of April, I have to type it in again, M2. Okay. In the month of April, we get a dip like that and a V-shaped recovery, according to M2 Money Supply, if we do continue following this, right? We could stay recovered a little bit, see a bit of a price decay, back to our low points again. I'm not sure what could be the cause of that, but then a nice little pump. This is mid-April, by the way. Mid-April, we'll see a good pump back up, likely pushing us above 80,000 once again, using 80,000 as support, rising to 80,000 again. Maybe one last drop as low as where we are right now by May. Because this month will suck. We know that. This is where all the tariffs are in play right now. So, I don't know. I don't think it's over. Yeah, Black Monday is still in play. We'll see. So, Jim Cramer, Inverse Kramer works. We'll see. We could see a nice pump, though, as mid-April. A little bit of a recovery. Time to take profits. I'm not sure. But hey, that's if Bitcoin does follow the M2 correlation. So we have to wait and see for that. Okay, that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I'll keep you covered tomorrow. Yeah. We'll see. Oh, the stocks are going to hurt. Stocks